All right. Yo, what's going on, man? How are you doing, man?
Doing all right. Just
Yeah.
you know, for not having any sports actually being live, this past week has been pretty fun to pay attention to some sports, some old school with the Last Dance and the NFL draft, which had like the highest ratings ever for TV for the NFL, and um, with that going on, it's been a pretty good time, and just been working like crazy. So sports and
Yeah.
work, I guess. So, what about you?
Yeah, no, I definitely same thing, man. Dude, I'm just glad to see the draft finally get some type of sports going on, or something new with sports. But yeah, no, welcome back for episode 7, everybody. Here at the BS Academy. But dude, yeah, dude, I wanna start us off here a little something different than what we normally do. Um, to segue us into the first thing I want to talk about. So I want you to sit there, AJ, and I want you to picture yourself. It's 2013. You're watching the NFL. You're watching ESPN, and they're talking about Joe Flacco. I know it's strange. Just bear with me.
Okay.
They're talking about Joe Flacco. He's getting ready for the season opener against the Browns.
Okay.
His wife is in labor. He misses the birth of his second child to play the season opener of the
It's
Browns.
intense.
Now imagine yourself as Joe Flacco. You gave it your all. You didn't miss a game. And then fast forward 7 years later to 2020, The Last Dance airs, and you see that Dennis Rodman gets a 48-hour vacation to go to Vegas in the middle of the season.
Okay.
How crazy is that, dude? You got it's so crazy. The spectrum is just crazy to me. You got people that literally miss their child's birth for the professional sports, but then you got Dennis Rodman, completely other human that is just like, I need 48 hours. I want to go to Vegas and party. And they let him. It's just crazy. What do you think about that, man? How nuts is
Well,
that?
I'll tell you this. Notice the team leader didn't take the vacation. Jordan didn't take the vacation. Scottie Pippen wasn't. Scottie Pippen had just come back. Like he had taken a hiatus as
Mm-hmm.
well because of contract issues. Basketball is different. I think you can afford to take a 72, 96, 100 and
However long it ended up
yeah.
being.
I think in basketball,
it was more than
yeah, it was
48
like
is
a
what
week
I
after, right?
remember.
And it didn't give you an actual number, but um, I
Yeah.
think basketball you can afford to take a few games off. Like they do it now. They give them like Kawhi Leonard was on this you know, um like load management. I think that you can do it in basketball and in football, there's only 16 games.
Mm-hmm.
And the quarterback, it's not like it was a defensive back, you know what I mean? Or a not just saying defensive
True.
backs aren't
It is the
important,
quarterback. It is the
but
quarterback.
he's
Yeah.
the quarterback. Not saying Joe Flacco is great. He's not elite in my eyes, but
The quarterback,
yeah,
y'all.
but he's the quarterback. He's the team captain. I guess it would be like Michael Jordan taking a week off and just being like, screw it. Whereas like Dennis Rodman,
Yeah.
like he was the third leg of the triad for that six championship team. Um, and also they've already won 5 championships. So they've shown, hey, we can do it. It doesn't matter. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think that he just needed that time.
Yeah, I think anybody could use a good time out in Vegas. It's definitely a lot of fun. Um, but I just found that so funny. I was trying to find something to compare it to. You definitely bring a good point about obviously Flacco being the quarterback. There's less games, things like that. I don't think Rodman actually missed a game though, did
Yeah,
he? During that time, he just
I'm not sure. I'm sure he
but
missed some games. I don't know if he did or not.
yeah,
I don't know when he took that
but
hiatus.
hmm But I just thought it was so funny, just the opposite ends of the spectrum there. But and Flacco is the only one that I know there's been other people miss, crazy things for games, and that was the first one I could find. So I thought that was a good little comparison to make there. But dude, this whole Last Dance thing is just crazy to me. I think everybody's amazed, obviously, by Michael Jordan. To me, I think I'm most amazed by the antics of Dennis Rodman. I think it's because I was so young whenever he was playing. I knew he was crazy, but I didn't pay attention to it whenever he was playing because I was so young,
Mhm.
right? But now I'm seeing all these antics. I'm seeing these interviews that people are doing with him. He's just crazy looking. Just he just looks out there, right? Not casting judgment on anybody, but he looks like he's out of left field. And then you find out, you hear these stories from the producer where they're sitting there talking about how he shows up 2 hours late to record interviews for these press conferences or press conference for the Last Dance documentary, right? And he's supposed to be interviewing for hours and hours, shows up 2 hours late, walks right by the producer that's interviewing him, doesn't even know who he is, doesn't know why he's
That's a
there.
power move right
um
there, though.
yeah, tells him, "Oh, I'm supposed to be here interviewing for 10 hours. I'll give you 10 minutes, but first you got to go get me a sandwich." Just a little backstory for the listeners. He had told a producer, there's an article the producer was talking about, saying that, he showed up very late to interview for this, then told him he wasn't going to give him that much time. And then on top of that, he had to go run to a local sandwich shop and buy him something. It's just crazy to me. I'm just amazed by the antics that he was able to get away with. And, I feel like in today's league, that type of behavior, whether you're a superstar, whether you're not a superstar, I feel like that wouldn't get tolerated. What do you think?
Yeah, I there's definitely not been a character like him since. There have been characters, don't get me wrong, like the Ron Artest slash Meta World Pieces. He wasn't as flamboyant as Dennis Rodman, but like I I don't see a world in today's basketball where even Ron Artest gets away with jumping into the stands and beating somebody up, and then playing after. I think that they're pretty much done after that. Like a dude gets hit below the belt now, and he gets like a 5 game suspension. Um, I think that social media probably would play a factor in that, where like um, I don't think that the dressing, like him dressing goofy, is all that crazy, because if you look at like even now NFL stars look all crazy when they dress up, just because they're, I call it like affluence. When you make a lot of money, you can kind of do what you want. But like the fact that he takes a Miller Lite, chugs it in front of a camera in Vegas, and then hops on a motorcycle on a Harley Davidson and drives off like it's nothing, that would not fly today. Um, like DUI, all that kind of stuff. But like, man, in the '90s, I feel like it was a slap on the wrist. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's just being Dennis Rodman or whatever. And I
Yeah.
100% agree with you.
Boys will be
Yeah,
boys.
I don't think that. I just don't. I don't think people are like that. And if they are, they hide it. You know, and people, I think that they're probably advised now to hide that stuff and not put a camera on it, and those types of things. And like Zeke, you see him like when they went out and stuff, like they always
Mhm.
had some sort of camera on him, and he kept getting in trouble. And I think that finally, like, you think he slowed down his partying? Hell no. Like his advisors are like, hey, if you go out, make sure everybody know everybody, those kinds of things, and be chill. Like you can't push cameramen
Yeah.
over and do those types of things. And yeah, Dennis, man, he was his own beast, his own animal. For me, like I've always grown up, I love Michael Jordan, watching him play and watching him just the competitiveness in him. And that's the most intriguing part to me was um, watching how he interacted with the media. He was like a no BS guy. He was like, yo, like this is how it is. Stop asking me the same questions. If I retire, I retire. If I don't, I don't. Leave me alone. But also like he he started off as like the show, and he was the centerpiece, and he always was the centerpiece. But when he was young, they ran the offense around him, and he had to be a team leader on the court, but I don't think he was as much of a team leader off the court. And then as he grew up, if you notice, everybody looked to him and said, hey, Michael, we're going to do this for you. And then that team was created with Phil Jackson creating the triangle, and everybody got the ball. He'd even give the ball up to Steve Kerr and Scotty. And I think that Jordan, by not getting the ball as much, he still got the ball. By not getting the ball as much, I think he became a better leader in a 360 like view, if that makes sense, like off the court,
Mhm.
on the court. And he was a team leader in like developing people and developing personalities and honing those personalities. And whereas when he was young, he didn't have that skill yet. And that's something you learn over time. And I think Michael Jordan might be the best ever at that, Because if you look at Jordan, or I mean at LeBron, I think he's gotten to that point in his life. But if you gave Jordan a Dwayne Wade and a Chris Bosh type, you see it. Jordan won 6 championships, and he would have won 8 if he wouldn't have quit in the middle of the three, right? Whereas
Mm-hmm.
LeBron, I think that I think that LeBron was trying to follow the blueprint of Jordan, but you don't get to see what Jordan does behind closed doors. You don't get to see that Jordan didn't take mistakes. Like when they said that when Jordan won their first championship, they never seen him show an emotion that wasn't angry. And to me,
Mm-hmm.
man, like that just shows the development and the leadership, um, path that he's taken, and something that we can take in all aspects of life and careers. And he is one of those guys, man. Like I just thought that was the coolest part for me. And obviously, like the Rodman thing,
Yeah.
like that's huge, and he was a big part of that championship team. And obviously, he gets a lot of views because he's hilarious, like watching him do his things and his North Korea shit and all that. But like the Michael Jordan piece, man, like the behind closed doors was so cool to me.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm enjoying it so far. Just seeing, um, just his, like you said, just his poise and composure through all of, like you said, he was getting the same questions, but he stays composed, and it's just crazy to me the difference between seeing him do that versus what the players of today's NBA do whenever they're getting the same question over and over. Um, think about uh, Russell Westbrook, for instance, right? There's so many clips out there of him where press will ask him something and he'll look at him like they're, an idiot and go, "What? Like, psh, like, why are you asking me that?" Like, and just kind of be an asshole to him and just kind of give that bad vibe off, I guess, as he's answering that question. No matter what, Jordan was still laughing with the people asking the questions,
Mhm.
you
He
know,
built a relationship with them.
taking it all correct. Yeah. He really did. He knew the reporters that were reporting on him day in and day out. And, they respected him, he respected them. There was that relationship with
But
them.
but
I'm sorry, I'm
think
looking
about
for the
this,
words.
Dylan. If
But
you think about how Jordan operated, Jordan was not only a basketball player but a businessman. And if you look
true.
at him and Tiger Woods, LeBron will get there eventually, but him and Tiger Woods are like the most successful athletes when it comes to money. Jordan understood the relationship he had to have with the media because he didn't have social media back then. So he understood that a positive
Hmm.
story about him out there, about being a winner and about destroying and those types of things, was just as important as him playing well in the game, because there were really good players out there that got the opposite, like Isaiah Thomas, one of the best point
Hmm.
guards ever, but he is highlighted as a villain in the NBA. And then you know, like it just if you look down the list, man, like Kobe was the same way as Jordan. Kobe understood towards the end of his career, I have to build my brand and I have to build myself as a good person, because if I build myself as a villain, I will die off eventually, and then I will not have the what carries outside of basketball is money and fame and my logo, where like the Jordan brand logo is just as famous as the Nike logo, you know what I mean? And it was a
Exactly.
branch of Nike, it still is, but like to me it's like
It's its own company basically now.
Jordan was a,
I mean, it's
what's the word, visionary, right? Whereas these guys they're kind of stuck in their lane where they're like Russell Westbrook. Will we remember him in
Mhm.
20 years? Yeah, I will. You will. We'll remember he was a triple double
Mhm.
machine that never won the big one, probably, and he was kind of a jerk. But you won't remember him like you remember Jordan. Like we weren't even like I remember watching Jordan play when he played for the Wizards. I remember watching a few games, being
Correct.
like, okay, that's the greatest player
Yeah.
ever. Like, but
Mhm.
I remember, the Space Jams, the highlight tapes, the just like loving to watch him play. Like, I could watch highlights of Michael Jordan play basketball all day long, just because like he was so incredible. But like, I don't think I would have had that, because there's highlight reels out there that are just as good, if not better. I don't think I would have had that if it wasn't for the brand building that Jordan did and the positive picture that the media put out of Jordan. You know what I mean?
Very
Like
true.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to preach, but like that's how I look at him as a visionary. Whereas these guys are
Yeah.
like, yeah, they're up there, but they're not visionaries. They're like, they're
Mhm.
high performers. They're like LeBron is getting there. I think that he's kind of
Mhm.
figuring that out. Um, but I don't think anybody besides Tiger Woods has reached that level that Jordan did. Like Tiger Woods went and smash like all this crazy like records, like literally smash all these records. He's the greatest golfer ever, and he does these crazy things where he goes out with all these like hookers and women and stuff. His wife smashes his Escalade. All these negative things happen about him, but you know what? We all love to watch Tiger play, even now. Like when Tiger's
Mhm.
on, I'm watching, and he is the most successful
100%.
golfer. Slash, I don't know if him or Jordan have more money, but they're both in the upper billions, like 1 billion. You know what I mean? Like he literally created golf for Nike. Literally, there was no Nike golf before Tiger Woods.
That's crazy to even think about that if you really think about it, like you said, Tiger created golf for Nike, then you have Jordan created basically a whole nother company within the company of Nike
Yeah.
with his Air Force or his Air Jordan
Well, you
brand.
think about
That's
what was Nike
it's
before
insane the
Jordan?
influence.
They weren't.
I'm
What
sorry?
was Nike before Jordan? Nothing.
Yeah.
They were a little baby
Same. Yeah.
company in the early '80s,
Mm-hmm.
mid '80s.
Yep.
I don't know, man. It's
Yep.
interesting how history like Phil Knight figured that out. He was like, I see this guy, Jordan. He's going to take my company and he's going to blow it up, and then we're going to sign like guys like Bo Jackson and then just explode this brand.
That's insane. I'm curious, like, what are some of the biggest names now that Nike has had
LeBron,
on their endorsement?
Kobe,
LeBron, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people, obviously. I mean,
like Jordan just signed Luca.
it's crazy.
Um,
Yeah. Which they already released like one of his signature shoes. Have you seen
yeah,
it,
it's a
dude?
green Air Force
The new
One,
look. Yeah, dude.
the white.
I'm gonna be honest. I won't wear it. It's not my style, but I think they look clean.
Yeah,
I think they
I
look
like
cool as
that
fuck.
soft green.
So yeah, it looks dope. Um, for
But I
sure.
mean, like Adidas. I mean, Adidas has stayed
Yeah.
relevant, and they went up for a little bit a couple
Mhm.
years ago. Just with all the
Mhm.
Nike stink with the like not standing for the anthem and all that stuff. But like, um, Adidas has like a couple of players. Like they got like James
Yeah.
Harden, and back in the day they had Gilbert Arenas and Tracy McGrady
Yeah.
and those dudes. Um,
Yeah.
but they've stuck to soccer, which is good. But I just don't think that they're the hockey brand, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They just recently became the
But
hockey
think
brand.
about
That
this:
used to be Reebok.
Nike is the sponsor for basketball, football,
Mhm.
like NBA, NFL, and MLB. What are the three sports we watch majority besides NHL? NFL,
Correct. Yeah.
NBA, and MLB. You know what I mean? Like they're the they're the brand for those three companies.
They're this sports brand, if that makes sense. For a while there, I thought Under Armour was going to start giving them a little bit of a run for their money, but it seemed that that Under Armour's still a big brand. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like they went up and then they just kind of plateaued a little bit. I don't hear people talking about them as much as I used to. I feel like you feel the same way about that as well,
Yeah,
or do you think that
I
there's
think Under Armour.
I mean, I don't want to call them a small brand, obviously, because they're not small. I mean, anytime you have Steph Curry on payroll, that's not small. But I don't know. I think I expected more from them because they had a real big boom, like when we were in high school, real big boom with
I
them.
think they're
And then
still
now I feel like it's
relevant.
kind of fizzling out. I feel like Nike's kind of staking claim again on all the
Well,
sports.
and I don't say like the Nike having all the sports is like stopping the growth from the other companies. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's actually helping growth of other companies, and the reason I say that is because
Sure.
when a company owns a huge share of a sport or of sports, I think that the other companies have more room to grow now because that means they have this target and they can get there. But like Under Armour is doing well, like they have like the military relationship on lock. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they've got Steph Curry, which they've literally created basketball shoes for Steph Curry. Um, I think Under Armour has a big. I think Under Armour has a big stake in still football equipment. They have a lot of
Yeah.
NCAA, like
Yeah.
colleges, obviously. So like
Oh, that's right. I forget about
universities,
those endorsements.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Northwestern, those guys, Maryland, and
Commerce.
do what? Yeah, Commerce, yeah. Um, and I think they have a big stake in equipment. I think. I
Hmm.
just yeah, like you said, they're just not they just didn't explode like I thought they were going to. But I think they still have some room for improvement. I think they'll be fine. They get like obviously Cam Newton not playing kind of hurts them
Yeah.
because he was a big sponsor for them, um,
Yeah.
or sponsored athlete or whatever. But they'll get there, man. Like Jordan Spieth's a big one. I think if Jordan Spieth picks up, that Under Armour golf, it'll pick back up again. I think their problem is innovation, man. They're not willing to like I just don't think they're going to grow if they don't change. They can keep some of their old styles cuz I like this simple look, but like they
Hmm.
have to adapt. Like they're
Especially on the shoe game,
yeah,
I
like
feel
their
like.
basketball shoes are adapting, but I don't feel like their running shoes are or their other shoes, like their casual shoes. I still don't want to wear them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel like they're getting there. Um,
Yeah.
I really like the charged cotton shirts, like that soft cotton, and Nike
Hmm.
doesn't make those.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a targeted audience. I don't see like a certain demographic of people
Yeah.
even want to wear Under Armour. Like I feel like we do, but like
Yeah.
I mean that's a small demographic, so they'll get there.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree on them not innovating, man. If you ever go into one of the stores that's selling them, like any sporting goods store, Under Armour products have looked the exact
Yeah.
same the entire time. The basketball shoes are kind of big and bulky. Like you said, they're getting better at them. I feel like they're getting a little bit more sleek now, especially now with like coming out with some of Steph Curry's. But even then, some of his shoes they've released have been kind of bulky, and kind of just plain. I feel like, and then same thing with their shirts. They've got the dry fit shirts. They've got you know, um, basically dry fit everything. I mean that's always been the style with them. But yeah, kind of went off on a tangent for sure with them. Anyways, um, let's see, man. What else been going on in the sporting world this
Well,
past week?
we had the draft, and we had a little wager that did
Oh
not go my
yeah, that's right.
way.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
wait,
official
you want to
results.
tally up that?
Official.
How many did you
Yeah,
get over me?
yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Official results of the
First round.
NFL draft. First round NFL draft. All we did was first round. Which per our draft, both of us, I feel like we're a shit show on the draft to begin with. When it comes to it, I feel like we had discussed this during the draft. I remember going back and forth with you. We did very well at picking the positions.
Hmm.
We did very bad at picking the actual person.
Right.
Um, with the final result, drum roll, of the 32 draft picks in the first round, AJ, you picked 5 of them
It's
correctly.
terrible.
Yeah. Now, as far as things go, after I'm gonna go back through and we're gonna look through again on these draft picks and go into a little bit more detail on what we think of the draft, or at least the first round of the draft and maybe the first 2 rounds. We'll go from there. Um, I'm curious to see how many of them you got the position correct. We got to go back through. I haven't tallied that up yet. We'll look at that in a minute because I know you got the position correct on a lot of them. However, I did beat you. I picked 7 correct.
Okay.
Out of the 32. So didn't blow you out of the water. But
Well,
did
you know what I attribute that
did
to?
win.
A lot of teams throw smoke screens to other teams.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
who
100%.
the hell thought that
100%.
CD Lamb would have dropped to 17 to the Cowboys?
100%. Who would have thought Andrew Thomas got taken by the Giants as number 4?
Yeah.
Neither one of us picked that
Well,
one. That's
he
nuts.
was
I feel like you had
he was my
4 better
yeah,
linemen
he was
in
like
front
my
of him.
fourth or fifth rated offensive tackle, not even O lineman. Like I was like,
I barely picked him to go in the first round just because of
yeah,
people picking O lineman on need. What really got you on the difference though, and this is what made the difference in our wager. Had you flip flop these two, we would have tied. The Tua and Justin Herbert picks. You had Justin Herbert going to Miami, and then Tua going to the Chargers. And then I had those flip flopped, which were correct. Those were the two picks that made the difference. Tua to Miami, Justin Herbert to the Chargers. Um, what do you think, man? Are you surprised by that decision for them to take Tua over Justin Herbert to go to Miami,
no.
or are you not
In my heart
surprised?
of hearts, I should have picked Tua. I was
Sure.
kind of going with logic with the injuries, and I thought Justin Herbert
Mm-hmm.
was a good pick. But if it makes sense to me now that I think about it, Miami uh,
Mm-hmm.
needed a brand change, and they needed like a game changer. And I think what I was listening to them talk about it. Miami passed up Drew Brees, and then Drew Brees went to the Chargers or whatever. So for me, it was like
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want to relive the past and look back on it like, oh, we gave up on Tua and he ended up being Drew Brees, right? So I think that Tua sells tickets. Tua has a higher
Mm-hmm.
upside, but I think to me Tua also has a bigger question mark downside, right? So that he's got the injury
Mm-hmm.
bug. We don't know how the hip's going to play out. He could end up never getting injured again, or he could be Andrew Luck, right? Retired
Yeah.
6 years early. So in my heart of hearts, I should have chose that, but that was a good solid pick for you. I think that they could have went with either one, but they both needed a quarterback, and I think that was the important piece um,
Yeah.
in that pick.
Yeah, my thoughts behind the pick on that to go with Tua over Justin Herbert. Um, the reason why I did it is one, just because this entire time you've heard they're going Tua, they're probably going to try and trade up for Tua. The only way they're not getting Tua is if they pull off some crazy deal where they trade up to number one to get Joe Burrow, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, like a week or two before the draft, you start hearing them throw in the name Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert. I honestly, I don't even think Justin Herbert. I mean, obviously, probably on the radar for Miami, but I don't even think that they were even thinking twice about this decision. It seemed like it was just something last minute that a lot of reporters like ESPN and stuff like that started maybe throwing in there to try and kind of just boost
Conversation.
the conversation, the storyline, the drama on it. Who are they going to pick? Is it going to be Tua? Is it going to be Herbert? Although you did bring up a good point with Tua, he's someone that's going to sell tickets probably more so over Justin Herbert. However, though, with the hip injury, do you let him play the first season or do you rehab him all
Who do you
year?
have? I mean, absolutely. Like, I get what they're saying. They want him to
Tank can get more picks.
do what?
Can get more picks.
Man, yeah, but like, there's only so long a fan base can take just getting a ass kicking. And Miami's done
Very
it for
true.
years, man. Like, even when they had a
Hmm.
great team, they couldn't win the big one with Dan Marino. It's like
Hmm.
I say, I mean, it's tough, right? You want to let him sit,
Yep.
maybe learn on the bench, maybe tank again and get for top five pick again. That's cool, but like the rest of the team suffers, man. This ain't basketball. You've
Yep.
got 22 starters and you've got 30 other players that are going to be on your active roster. Dude, you got to keep that morale going. You got to build some semblance of, hey, we can win. Otherwise, you end up like Cleveland with a hell of a lot of good players and you can't win. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like,
Agree. Agree.
how many years has Cleveland gotten a top pick and not done anything with it? It's like
Yeah.
eventually that shit doesn't work anymore, man. You've got to, and then they fire the coach, and it's just like I say, I say win, brother.
And the shit show ensues.
I
Yeah.
say go
I
eight and
dude,
eight, go 9-7, go 10-6. Who gives a shit if you have a top 15 pick or above a 15 pick? Like that just shows like I mean, your scouting that puts the pressure on your scouting department and to show, hey, they actually can do their job. It's easy to pick in the top five, man. Like it's hard to miss,
mhm.
unless you know, trying to think, maybe a Mario Williams didn't end up so well. I mean, he was okay,
Ryan Leaf.
huh?
Ryan Leaf, I
Ryan
think.
Leaf, yeah, but that's like once in a generation, man.
Yeah. Um yeah, no, I think they need to go ahead if they can get him healthy, get him on the field. Um Obviously flip the I see both sides of the argument very well on it. Um he's an investment in their future, obviously. They didn't take him 5th overall to not utilize him as their franchise quarterback from here on out,
Mm.
right? Or at least that's the hope. So, with that being the big investment there, do you let him get healthy and learn this year? I can see that side. But I think that the way a quarterback or really anybody, it doesn't matter whether it be sports, your 9 to 5 job, whatever it is, anytime you're picking up something new, and this football is not necessarily new, but playing in the NFL is new for him, and it's a learning curve,
Mm.
right, from the college game. The best way to go about learning that is by doing,
Yeah,
not by sitting there. I mean, that's always the best, or that's the best way to learn anything is by, just putting your feet to the fire and going.
yeah, and
So I think if he's healthy, they got to get him on the field, got to start getting his confidence boosted before the expectations get too high for him. Because let's think about it. Let's say they tank again, right? Say he doesn't play, they tank again, they get another top 5 pick. Well, now pressure keep is going up for Tua because now they're getting better and better weapons in Miami, so therefore they're going to expect better and better performance. He can get his shit performance out of the way right now when expectations are not high, and it's not going to hit his psyche as much as if expectations were high and he's getting those learning years out of the way. It's going to be very hard.
yeah.
So I think they get it. They need to get him going right now.
I think
If they can get him
what
healthy,
needs to happen is he's got to get blessed off by the doctors first. So
hundred
if the
percent.
doctors say, hey, he gets hit, it's that 90-10 thing like Jordan was talking about. Obviously, the competitor wants to play, but if that doctor doesn't give him the clean bill of health, like, hey, you get hit again, that hip's done, then I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a different story. But if the doctors give him a clean bill of health, I say let the dude sling the rock, man. Like let him go and let him perform. He's got receivers. He's got a couple good receivers. They drafted a receiver, I believe. Um,
Mm-hmm.
can't think off the top of my head, but um, actually, the Miami had one of the best drafts in the league this year. But um, I think let Tua play. Obviously, if he can stay healthy, and we'll see what happens. Like you said, like you know, get him in there before the expectations go up. And like, who does he have to learn from right now? He doesn't have a Drew Brees in front of him. He doesn't have a Brett Favre like Aaron Rodgers did. He doesn't have or like Jordan Love has now. He doesn't have a good quarterback to really learn from. Like even Dak had Tony Romo to see how he did the pre games. Like say what you want about Tony Romo, but he was an incredible football player and very very smart. So Dak could pick his
Mm-hmm.
brain. Who does Tua have? Like I don't even know who their freaking backup quarterback will be. I don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. Like you know what I mean? So I just um
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I definitely agree. Speaking of backup quarterbacks, I know this is not draft related, but this just made me think about it because the news just came in right before we recorded this episode. What do you think about the Cowboys? Andy Dalton, backup quarterback, 1 year deal, guaranteed
I
$3 million.
mean,
How do you feel about
okay,
that?
he ain't playing. I like
I
it. I
just
don't
I love seeing the headlines for backup quarterbacks. I always find that
Well,
so funny.
Dez tweeted out he was all upset. He was like, just pay my man Dak, let him play." Dude, what the Cowboys ain't playing Andy Dalton over Dak Prescott. I'm sorry, that's not happening. Like Andy Dalton is a good quarterback. Played on a horrible team for a long time. He can put up offensive numbers, but he just played for a bad team. I think he's a
Hmm.
good backup. And if he's willing to sit in that role and he can help Dak progress. I think he can help Dak get better. Then absolutely, why not? He's going back home. Andy Dalton played for TCU. He was a good quarterback. Um, he won the Rose Bowl with TCU. He just played for a really bad team for a really long time. And he made AJ Green look awesome. You got to think AJ Green's one of the best receivers in the league, and you got to have a good quarterback to throw to a good receiver. Otherwise, it ain't nothing. So, I mean,
Hmm.
I like Andy Dalton. I like the price, $7 million, whatever, cool. Dak has an AC joint injury that they're not really talking about. Maybe that's why, they could see that being an issue. Um, Hell yeah, man. Like I like Cooper Rush, but he's not a formidable backup. I get real concerned if Dak's not in. I will not be as concerned if Dak is not in and Andy Dalton takes the helm. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, I think in the off chance that something does happen to Dak, I don't think this is a contingency plan for him to hold out or anything like that. Bear with me one second here.
Oh, by the way,
Excuse me.
the
But
Dolphins didn't. They drafted a receiver, but not as early as they thought. They drafted a receiver in the 7th round. They got an offensive tackle in the 1st round.
hmm
Austin Jackson.
the Dolphins, um, I believe they also got a receiver in the first round too. Do they
They got
not?
a corner. They got Noah Igbenogene.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Igbenogene. I don't know how to say his name. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The crazy name.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of the Dolphins, they traded their 26th pick, which is where I had them picking a receiver at. Had them picking T. Higgins there. He would have still been on the board, but instead, my team, the Green Bay Packers, they trade up to that spot. When they trade up to that spot, I'm thinking, oh boy, T. Higgins on the board. We're about to get T. Higgins. Doesn't happen, and we take Jordan Love instead. Um, Dude, I don't know what to think about the Jordan Love pick with Green Bay trading up. I think Green Bay, I don't want to say they did terrible in the draft. I don't think they did great. I think they did bad. Um, as far as future goes, maybe Jordan Love can be the future of the franchise one day. I think this is a very premature decision on it. Um, but I want to just go out and go ahead and say on this, I'm sure have you heard about the comments that Brett Favre has been making regarding the pick?
Yeah, he thinks Aaron Rodgers is gone.
Mm, correct. Um, Brett Favre's one of my favorite quarterbacks to ever play the game. I've been waiting for our podcast on this to say it. Brett Favre needs to clamp it right now, man. I honestly don't think Aaron Rodgers is reacting in the way that Brett Favre thinks he is.
Yeah.
He says he's had conversation with him. I don't know. I don't think so. And here's reason why. One, I think Rodgers is true professional. I don't think he's going to sit there and have a poor reaction. Two, he knows he's still got the starting job right now. No, it may not be his in the future, but he's got it right now, right? So ball still is in his court. As long as he's taken the Packers to an NFC Championship game, they're not going to get rid of him, right? So there's that. So he can still keep performing. But two, though, is he has on record in the past said that he will not do uh, basically what Brett Favre did to him, which was refuse to mentor him as a young quarterback. So I think he'll take this as a chance to. I think it's complete opposite of what everybody's saying. Everybody's looking for drama, trying to stir it up with Jordan Love. I don't even think that's the case. I think Brett needs to kind of clamp it on this one before he starts some shit that doesn't need to be started.
I'm gonna
Because I don't think that's really going to be what's going on. I mean, obviously, it may be a little concerning as a quarterback, but I really think he's going to be all right with it. I think it's going to
so
be
I
well
100%
over.
get the Packers like thought process. Hey, we need to draft the quarterback of the future because we got a little bit of drama with Aaron Rodgers, whatever it is. He's getting old, whatever. We don't think he can do what he used to, but we need to start building the future. Cool. But you went to an NFC championship and you played the San Francisco 49ers, right? Which you absolutely
Mhm,
could have beat the San Francisco 49ers. They have a really good run defense. They have a really good run offense. You didn't perform. It happens. So
100%.
do you destroy the blueprint for the team by not drafting receivers and people to help Aaron Rodgers, which, mind you, you've got 2 or 3 more years with Aaron Rodgers at the best. He's the top two quarterback in the league right now. You have 3 years, probably 4 years of that level of play where you build him and give him some weapons like a T. Higgins, a game changer. You build that team for
Mhm,
now, you win a damn Super Bowl, and then you go find a quarterback that's young, that's hungry, that wants to play. Don't do it now. It's like the wrong time. Of all intents and purposes that we, of this draft, they did not do what they should have done. I will say this: every draft rating I've looked at, maybe one or two are given Bs. they've gotten Fs like across the board. They didn't hit any of the needs they needed. Like I was like dumbfounded. But I'll tell you this: a lot of times, hindsight's 2020 on these types of things. You'll think back like how shitty was that draft? Jordan Love is not playing yet. Da da da. Say in 2024, Aaron Rodgers decides, hey, you know what? I'm calling it quits, right? Jordan Love
Mm-hmm.
has groomed, he's grown, he's gotten better. He signed his second year deal or his second term deal, and he becomes Aaron Rodgers 2.0. And
Yep.
that draft looks a lot better. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So
This is a graph. This is a draft where the grade is not very high, but it has subject to change.
right.
You could possibly get a little extra credit on the assignment if it turns out that Jordan Love ends up being a stud 3 years, 4 years from now, and takes over the franchise and starts winning us Super Bowls left and right. That'd be nice.
Not
Um,
happening.
I'm gonna go and say though there is a new reason why that I now hate New England Patriots. I was beginning to like them a little bit when they got rid of Tom Brady. There's a new reason why I don't like them now.
Why?
Because it's their fault that we drafted Jordan Love. I had them at number 23 taking Jordan
So did
Love
I.
because they need a QB. Had him at 23 doing that. We both did. But no, Bill Belichick, I don't know what he's doing, man. He's like sabotaging the team. Trading away
You
picks,
like
first
Brian
round picks.
Hoyer, man.
Trades. Yeah. Okay. He trades away his 23rd pick when he could have got Jordan Love, could have been his next Tom Brady person. Instead, gives up that pick to the Chargers. They take Kenneth Murray. Jordan Love slides to 26, and Green Bay says, we can't refuse anymore, and we trade up and we get him. If New England does what they're supposed to do with the 23rd pick, this never happens. We maybe trade up and get T. Higgins. Maybe we stay where we're at. We weren't getting Jalen Reagor like I thought because
Eagles.
Philly got him. Yeah, which makes no sense to me why they got Jalen Reagor. There's so many better options still on the board. I like Jalen Reagor, don't get me wrong, but you had Justin Jefferson still on the board.
Yeah.
You had
T. Higgins.
T. Higgins still on the
Yeah.
board. Who else is still on the board?
Several.
Yeah, quite a few receivers still on the board there that they could have taken. That Brandon Ayuk guy, he was still on the board. I think I would have taken Reagor over him, but
Reagor is a speedster. He's very fast. He's a game changer, but I think the Eagles could have went for something else. But the reason why go back to the Packers, the reason why I don't like the Packers draft so much, it wasn't the Jordan Love pick. I think that makes sense at the time. Like, yeah, I get you have Aaron Rodgers, but you got to plan for the future at some point.
sure.
But then you go get AJ Dillon, who plays for
Yeah.
Boston College, who plays in the Big East. I don't even know what division they play in football. Running back. Dude, come on. You can find so many good running backs. You could have gotten
Mhm.
a receiver. You could have gotten an O lineman. You could have gotten so many people at that two spot. And then
Yeah.
you
I
draft
don't like the
tight end
running
in the
back
third
pick
round.
either.
What?
Yeah. I I don't know what they were thinking, man. Like they literally addressed no needs.
Well,
And
then they address needs.
the tight end is maybe a need. But other than that though, they address no needs. You don't address the receiver position in the first round when you have
They
when
didn't
you
even
have the
draft a
chance to
receiver.
do so. Correct. Yeah, you don't address it when you have the chance to. In turn, you draft the running back. We've got running backs right now.
Yeah.
We
Aaron
have
Jones.
we have Aaron Jones who's killing it. We have Jamal Williams who's doing very well as a number 2 and he's doing well as a receiving back coming out of the backfield for the Packers. Why do you get a big power back that's like Eddie Lacy used to be? I don't understand that. It's just not a very smart pick there. They could have addressed needs on the O-line as well. With them losing Balaga this last offseason, they could have addressed that. They chose not to.
They drafted a ton of O linemen after that.
Yeah, but I mean, you have first round talent on the board at that point. I think first round they need to be looking O-line, receiver. We just went to the NFC Championship game.
Right.
Who cares about the future right
That's what I was
now?
saying. Yeah.
Let's win right now. We're literally on the brink of being in the Super Bowl, and you're worrying about the future. Like, don't get me wrong, I get you got to worry about the future at some point, right? But not whenever you just missed the Super Bowl by one
On
game.
another note, somebody in your division we talked about had a horrible offseason, had a really good draft.
Had a great draft. Yeah.
Vikings,
Yes.
they went and got Justin
They
Jefferson, Jeff
Mhm.
Gladney from TCU,
Mm.
Ezra
Yep.
Cleveland, who we thought was possibly a first round offensive tackle.
We both had him, I think, on our first round board.
Cameron Dantzler, he's a really good cornerback who showed up a lot of Alabama receivers, which you think
Mhm.
about Jared Judy, Ruggs, and
Yep.
then they got a defensive end. They went down the line. They literally their first 4 picks beat a lot of people's drafts. Like,
Yep.
and then I think even the Bears, they didn't have a first round pick,
Mhm.
but the Bears went and got I think the best tight end in the game, and they got Jalen Johnson, who I thought was a first round cornerback. Um,
Yep.
and then the Lions, I don't think the Lions did anything. Oh, they got Okuda, which
Nakuda.
Okuda's legit. They got DeAndre Swift, who a lot of people rated the best running back in the draft. Which they do need a
Mhm.
running back. And then
I had DeAndre going to Kansas City. They took a different running back,
did
unfortunately.
they?
I believe so.
Did I read that
They
wrong?
took Clyde Edwards. Is he a running back?
Well,
Am I
no,
wrong?
Detroit got DeAndre Swift.
No, no, no. Oh, yeah, that's why I said I had DeAndre Swift going to Kansas
Oh,
City.
okay,
Is what I
yeah,
was saying.
yeah.
But Kansas City took a different running
Yeah,
back.
but like I think the other teams in the division drafted who they needed. And then the Packers just
Mhm.
went left field with it. Like I said, it could be
Yeah.
subject to change. We'll see in a couple years. See how Jordan Love turns out. I think he's a good quarterback. I didn't know much about him until this pre-draft coverage because they were talking about the Patriots
Mhm.
and how
Yep.
he was a good spot for them. And apparently, Bill Belichick really, really, really likes Brian Hoyer, and I guess he's the future of the team.
Dude, I don't know what Belichick's doing up there, man. I really don't understand.
Yeah,
He trades out of the first
and
round.
like Andy Dalton would have been a good spot
Yeah.
or Andy Dalton would have been a good quarterback for the Patriots.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on with him up there. I think that Bill Belichick, I low key think he's starting to lose it a little bit. To be honest with you, I think egos right now are clashing between him and Tom Brady. I think that Tom Brady is looking good right now, as in he's in a good spot. He's got Tampa Bay with all their receivers and tight ends, and now he's got his boy Gronkowski back. He's he the They are the couple that just broke up, and Tom Brady's the one that's at the club posting on Snapchat pictures of him with other girls saying, "Hey, look at me. I'm having so much fun. Be jealous, be
And Bill
jealous."
Belichick's the ex.
Then Bill
Eat nice.
Belichick is the guy drowning in the bottle of whiskey,
No, eat nice bro.
looking at old family pictures. And then but burning down all of the old pictures, saying the hell with this. It's gonna be different now. Where
I'm sure
it's my
no,
way or the highway from here on
he's the
out.
ex
And
that shaves it or that um,
yeah,
cuts his hair, dyes it, and then like goes emo.
yes, 100%. And yeah, that is the best description I can think of for those two right now.
No. Speaking of like, I know we talked about it the last podcast, but the
And Gronkowski is the kid of the
yeah,
divorce,
yeah.
and he's happy to be with mom.
No, Gronk is the best friend after like they had
Oh yeah, yeah, he is. He's the one that's like "Hey bro, like sorry to hear about your
yeah,
split. You want to go see some girls?"
perfect.
Yeah.
That's funny. No, that Gronk move, like it was kind of overshadowed by the draft, but I thought that was an interesting move. If he stays healthy, I know we talked about it last time, but if he stays healthy, that could be a huge move for them, especially if they can learn
Mhm.
how you use like a two tight end set, or even put Gronk as a as a receiver.
Mhm.
I don't think I put Gronk
Yeah.
on the goal line or anything, but
No. Yeah, you gotta find a way to utilize him in a way that keeps him
healthy. Mhm.
healthy. Yeah. But at the same time, you also gotta remember too, you gotta utilize him, and his position, it's hard to avoid contact. So, um, technically anything's hard to avoid contact in football. It's a contact sport. But with the tight end, you're technically an offensive lineman that can also catch the ball. So I feel like there's
So
only so much you can do to keep him safe.
overall, who do you think had the best draft?
I don't want to say it.
Dallas. I don't
I
even think
repeat.
Dallas had the best.
I plead the
I
fifth.
think Dallas was the top 3 for me. Um, Give me a second. I'll tell you. I'm gonna list off who these guys got. Uh, so I thought Dallas had top 3, right? Obviously
Mhm.
taking CeeDee Lamb is a game changer for that offense. I think he's an amazing
Sure.
player. But which, by the way, he's wearing 88, and that really irks me because that means Jerry weaseled his way in there and said, "You need to wear 88 because all of our good receivers have worn 88." The dude wanted to
Mhm.
wear 10. Let the dude wear 10 and move on with his damn life. Quit trying to be this weird owner making him wear numbers that you
Yeah.
don't want to wear.
And well,
Sorry, that
you there's
I
a little
digress.
bit more backstory to it as well. The former player, Jerry Lamb, I think, that he
Yeah,
used to play with.
he played this with this dude in
Yeah.
Arkansas. And so Drew Pearson wore 88, and then so did Michael
Mhm.
Irvin, and now Dez wore it, and now this dude. Dude,
Yeah.
move on. Like, let the dude wear the number he wants to wear. And if he decides give him the
Yeah.
option, hey, I have the option for you to wear 88 because it's a legacy, right? And if you don't want to wear 88, that should not be a
Yeah.
problem. If you want to wear number 10 because all the cool kids are wearing 10 through
Yeah.
19,
Well,
that's cool.
from what I
You know
hear,
what I
he
mean?
wanted number 10 because he's from Houston. DeAndre Hopkins is
Yeah.
someone he modeled his game after a lot, grew up or has grown up lately watching DeAndre Hopkins, and I think he wanted to share the same number as him, is from what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
let him. And if he wants to be baller, like DeAndre Hopkins,
Mhm.
cool. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll give you my top. I just want to have the list. So for me, I really liked the Ravens draft
Okay.
class. Um, here, hold on, let me pull it up. So they picked. Ah, man, I'm trying to pull this up. It's being slow. Ravens draft. Hold on. Oh my god. Okay, so they went and got Patrick Queen from LSU, who he's a legit linebacker. They got J.K. Dobbins, freaking game changing running back, which they need a second running back with how much they run. They went and got the Matabuike from A&M, who they call War Daddy. They went and got Duvernay from Texas in the third round. Any other draft, Duvernay's the second, maybe first rounder. He's legit. Um, they got Malik Harrison, another good linebacker from Ohio State. Then they go down the line and they pick my one of my favorite receivers, James Prochet from SMU. Like, I think that they had, like, overall, I think they had the best draft because they picked players that they needed.
Mhm.
The only thing I think that they could have done better is I think they could have picked an O lineman to replace Yonda. Um, and then the Vikings I had ahead of the Cowboys. And we talked about the Vikings picks earlier, so I don't need to hit
Mhm.
that again. The Cowboys, for me, they went and got CeeDee Lamb. Perfect. That was your number one on your
Mhm.
draft board. Go for it. Then they go and then they hit their needs, So they went and got Trayvon Diggs from Alabama, and I think that he's a first round talent, and I think that's an awesome spot for them to pick Trayvon Diggs, and I'm glad they picked him. He's a corner that can go get the ball. Um, and then uh, you go and get a defensive lineman from. It's not the third round, but You get a defensive lineman who was a top Pac-12 defensive lineman, defensive end. He's a new name's like Anua or something
Mhm.
like that. From Utah, he's legit. And then you go and get another cornerback from Tulsa, who I think he's Robinson.
Mhm.
Uh, and then hold on, I'm going to make sure I get this right. And then in the third round, you got Gallimore, that defensive tackle from Oklahoma. That's the guy I forgot. I think he's a game changer with an upside. And then you go. My favorite pick of the draft for the Cowboys was Tyler Biages
Mhm.
or whatever, center from Wisconsin. Reason why I like him is he was the heir apparent to the Beard in Dallas. So the Beard played at center for Wisconsin. Travis Frederick, sorry. Travis Frederick retired early. He was the best center in the game. He had that autoimmune disease that he decided to call it quits because he obviously values his health. Um, Great human, and this guy is replacing him from Wisconsin. And I think that they were talking about him having the upside of Travis Frederick, which I
Mhm.
love. Obviously, he's got some grooming, but the reason why I like that pick is is the fifth round, and we needed somebody to fill that gap. He may not play tomorrow, he may not play this season or next season, but I think he'll be. I think at worst he'll be a good backup. And then we got Bradley, a nine, like I said, from Utah, and then we got Ben DiNucci from James Madison, quarterback. Now, I'll tell you this guy, James Madison is a team. They play D1 2A. So obviously the D1 2A champs like is always North Dakota State. That's where Carson
Mhm.
Wentz came from. So you know that the level of football is equivalent to what, like a D1 slash NFL player, because obviously they've had talent
Per-
come from there. Um DiNucci is a legit player. He balls out. They just lost to a really good North Dakota State team. So I see DiNucci in the seventh round, good for the Cowboys. He can develop. Obviously, Andy Dalton's not a long term solution. He's a 1 year done, whatever. I hope they keep DiNucci on the roster so he can learn. And dare I say it, maybe he can push Dak a little bit and maybe he can take his job. I'm cool with that. Like I like Dak, but I'm always cool with competition. But Dallas, I think, had the third best draft, like I said, and then the worst draft I had had Green Bay. Man, I really just did not like the way they drafted. It was
Hater.
rough. I usually I'm like, oh, Green Bay makes sense. Da, da, da. But nah, man, like I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't like the Chargers draft. I mean, I like Justin Herbert, but I didn't like their draft very much. I feel like they didn't do a lot with what they needed to get done. I didn't like the
Mhm.
Patriots draft. They always draft linebackers, no linemen, which is cool, I guess. They don't draft the sexy picks. But man, my favorite for the whole draft was the Ravens. I just felt like they hit everything they needed to, and they're
Yeah.
already good. Like they got J.K.
Mhm.
Dobbins, and on that run on that offense, J.K. Dobbins is going to thrive. And Mark Ingram's always
Mhm.
hurt, left, right, whatever. You put J.K. Dobbins with Lamar Jackson, I think that's a good move. And running backs seem to do really well their first year when they play for teams. Like all these rookie running backs end up playing pretty well their first year. So we'll see.
Yeah. Um, I've got to disagree with you on the worst draft class of this year. Not the Packers. We're second worst. Second worst. Not the worst.
Okay.
The Patriots are the worst draft class. They
Yeah.
traded out of the first round when they had an
Yep.
opportunity to address their need for a quarterback. They did not address that. They didn't address their need for a receiver. They drafted a damn kicker in the fifth round. Who the fuck drafts a kicker in the fifth round?
Unless it's Pat
Yeah,
McAfee
that dude better
or
have a damn iron boot on
what's
kicking the football.
what's old dude that plays for the Ravens?
Oh,
The kicker?
shit. Why is it Justin Tucker? Justin
Justin.
Tucker. My boy Jay
Yeah.
my boy
Unless
Jay
it's Justin.
Tuck.
I'm cool with drafting Justin Tucker in the
Yeah.
fifth round.
I don't know. Yeah, kickers. I don't know, man. I think that's just me being the Madden side of me. When I play Madden, I'd never draft a kicker. unless it's the one guy that we played that one time that was created and just threw in there. But I can't
Oh
remember his
yeah,
name, but yeah, something funky. Tiny Boop.
tiny.
Yeah. But no, I don't like their draft. Um, they trade out of the first round. They get a kicker in the fifth round. They don't address any of their needs. They get a little bit of help on defense, not really though. Um,
When has New England drafted a receiver that was
never
like
really.
legit?
But
Never.
I mean, they had Tom Brady, so it's a different story. I think to be honest with you, the more and more that I'm seeing it unfold, I think the more and more we're going to see that Tom Brady shielded a lot of bad decisions that were made, that are made personnel wise. Because think about it, he didn't ever. I mean, every now and again he had some really good receivers. Like he had Randy Moss at one point, um, Dion Branch at another point. He had Gronkowski, all those guys, Julian Edelman,
Edelman.
things. But he's never had like that, league top 3 receiver other than when he had Moss, right? So like,
Yeah, and they broke the all-time touchdown in a season. Obviously, Patrick
yeah,
Mahomes did too, but they had
yeah.
50
But
touchdowns.
I think he made up for a lot of personnel issues, like decisions.
That's
I
what I'm
think
saying.
he
Like,
I think
if
he
you
made up for that. He was kind of the X factor for their inability to fill personnel. Because even think about it, even with Tom Brady taking a hometown discount like he did, because you hear about that all the time, especially when you hear about Dak Prescott talking about his contract, how he should take a hometown discount because it's where he's been drafted and all this other stuff, right? Tom Brady did that, but they still didn't really fill pieces around him. Now, granted, I will say their defense was really, really good, and that's
their defense has always
yes.
been
So that's
good.
that's a different story. But like as far as their offensive personnel, I think Tom Brady kind of was that X factor to kind of cover up some of their lack of getting offensive personnel. And I think a lot of that's going to start coming to light, especially after watching this last draft. It looked terrible.
I don't see. I I think the only way the Patriots make the playoffs is because we're gonna have 7 teams in the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
and the AFC is pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like the top is good, like the Chiefs and the Ravens, and I think the Bills are going to be really good. Oh, the Bills are another team that had a really good draft,
Yeah.
without having a first round. But I think besides the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs, I think it's kind of open
Yeah.
game, and I think I could see the Patriots sliding in there in like the 6 or 7
Mm-hmm.
seed.
It's like a final
Um,
wild card.
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you to a point where I think that there were a lot of good decisions made, and I think Tom Brady did shield a lot of them. But that happens with any good
Mm-hmm.
quarterback. Good quarterback's going to kind of hide the problems on the offense. But that defense has been solid for 20 years, and I don't think you win as many Super Bowls or go to slash win as many Super Bowls as you have
Mm-hmm.
with having a bunch of personnel issues. I will say that I think people have this view of Bill Belichick as a wizard that floats above everybody, and he knows something that we don't at all times. Now, do I think that he knows something we don't? A lot of the times, absolutely. I think that he's really good at finding talent in the rough. Obviously, they did it with
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady. Um, but I think that his days are numbered, and I think teams are getting smarter than what they used to be, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I think that the access we have to people and tape is so much easier than it used to be. Those guys don't fly under the radar as much anymore. I think they still fly under the
Mm-hmm.
radar. Like the guy that comes to mind is Adam
Oh,
Thielen.
100%. Yeah.
He played for Minnesota State
Yep.
Mankato D
Correct.
two. Like Anam Commerce played Mankato. I think the only reason the Vikings knew who he was is because he was right
Yep.
down the road. But like those don't happen as often, I don't think, because I think that we have so much more access to these guys that we can see them at all times. And social media creates that where people can get highlights on phones now. And I don't think that you have to be there like you used to be, like, watching and whatever. And he even left, like, Belichick left the combine to go watch this guy from Middle Tennessee in the rain, a D lineman, and he didn't even draft that guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, is that, what's the risk reward here? I think that the Patriots have the best scouting department in the country. Um, I will say like our family friend like Justin Rogers, he told us when he got drafted by the Patriots, it was different there. Like the culture
Mhm.
was different. They just had that winning
Yeah.
attitude. Uh, Obviously, that was several years ago, but I imagine Bill Belichick still carries that. He's kind of like
Mhm.
Popovich, but even like Popovich, you notice the Spurs have not done as well lately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think eventually your system doesn't
Yeah.
work, and the dink and dunks like they work if you have athletes and people that are game changers, but you can't dink and dunk your way with an old Julian
Mhm.
Edelman. Now,
And
who
Brian
else you
Hoyer
got now?
throwing
I
to
don't
him.
even know. Like, I don't know. You got Sonny Michelle. Like, he's
Yeah.
good. I mean, he's
Mhm.
good. That's
But
but
even if you even think about this last year, he didn't necessarily do the greatest either, though. I only know that
well,
because I took him in fantasy and he
yeah,
sucked all year.
their offense sucked last year. Their defense carried
Hundred
them to the
percent,
playoffs.
100%. Um, Now best draft. I told you who I thought it had the worst draft. Best draft for me, man. It's funny because a lot of people aren't putting them in the top 5 of drafts. I think Miami had one of the best. I don't want to say the best draft. I'm gonna say they had the best draft because I don't want to admit who had the best draft. Um,
They
but
had a lot of
I think with them, I think they did a good job because they got their quarterback they needed. They got Tua, right? I think they made the right decision there.
mm,
He's hurt right now. Yes, I think he's gonna come back from the injury. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but I'm assuming he's coming back, right? And I think he's gonna come back just fine. He hell of a football player, hell of a quarterback to begin with. But they all what I also like about them is they got Tua and they also go, there's that potential for injury there, right? So what are we gonna do with our 18th pick? Oh, I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna take Austin Jackson, one of the best offensive linemen in the draft this year, to protect our guy that could possibly be injury prone, right? So you got him. Then they
yeah.
take the one of the best corners in the draft, the Noah Ibugud, whatever his last name is. I have no clue how to pronounce that, but
No way.
yeah, we'll just call him Noah, right? So they take him. Then their next pick in round 2, they go say, "Hey, let's protect our injury-prone quarterback even more, and let's get Robert Hunt." And then they say, let's go on the defense. Let's get Raekwon Davis. And then they beef up their secondary. Then they get another guard later on down the road. Now, granted, this is round 4 and 5, so I don't know how impactful that those guards and defensive ends and edge rushers they got in the late rounds are going to be. But
That's where your money's at, though.
correct, exactly. So if those pan out, in addition to their first rounds, I think they're going to have a really great draft pick. I mean, they entered in it
Yeah.
to the draft with the most picks. They had 3 first round picks. They used that as well as they could, and they got Tua. Um, and then let's see. Yeah, I think they did really well in their draft. I genuinely think that this is a draft that could prop them to get out of the cellar for once, which would be good for them. They need that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and this is the time,
Yeah.
like, the AFC is, like I said, it's kinda top heavy. They got 3 teams that I think are gonna obviously, the Bills are in their
Yep.
division, um,
It's probably
but
the AFC is probably
nobody
the
really.
only conference out there that you can go through each division and pick who's going to win each division probably right now.
Yeah.
Like barring
Yeah,
no
yeah.
crazy injuries or anything like that. And that's going to
How about the NFC South,
who?
though? I mean,
Which
do
division?
what?
You cut out on me.
The NFC
NFC South?
South, like, New
Oh,
Orleans,
Tampa.
um,
I'm
Tampa.
loving the fact that we're gonna watch Drew and Tom Brady go at it 2 times a year.
Yeah,
At
and
least,
then
not
and you
including
still
playoffs.
have absolutely, and you still have,
Mhm.
Carolina, which, they're probably the worst team in that
That says
division.
something right there alone the fact that they're considered the worst team in that division says something because they're easily a 500 team.
And the Falcons, like the Falcons have 2 of the best receivers in the league. They still got. I mean, Matty Ice is what it is. If that defense is short up, They went and got Todd Gurley. Like that offense is legit. Like Matty Ice, Todd
Mhm.
Gurley, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. They lost their tight end Austin Hooper, correct? Or did
No,
he
they lost
resign with
him. I
them?
believe he went somewhere. He didn't go to the Packers. I wanted him in the Packers.
Austin Hooper's legit, so that's an upset. But like that offense is still good. Like
Mhm.
the NFC South is tough, and I think the only reason they don't make the playoffs is because they're in the NFC South and they have to play those guys, you know,
Yeah.
6 times or
With
whatever.
the
So
additional team going into the playoffs, do you think we could potentially see 3 NFC South teams in the playoffs?
yes, but it also depends. So the NFC's tough. Like NFC North, I could see 3 teams, and the NFC East, I could
Mhm.
see 3 teams, depending on how well Washington does. Like, I don't think they're there yet. I think they'll miss the playoffs, and I think the Giants will miss the playoffs. But I think they're both in for a
Mhm.
turn. Um, but I think Dallas and Philly are going to slide in. I don't think there's going to be a 3 team from any division
Agreed.
this year.
I don't think they will, but I believe if
Maybe with
there's gonna be one, I think it'd be the South. I d I definitely don't see it
but
coming from the North. I know you said from the North. I see only 2 teams making the playoffs in the North, and that's Packers
yeah,
and
the
Vikings.
Vikings
And that's if the
and
young
that
players for the Vikings can show up and be impactful from day one that they just drafted. Because like we were talking about before, they didn't do very well in free agency.
so if I think about this right, there's 4 divisions. So you've got NFC East, NFC West, and then NFC South and NFC North. I see 2 teams from the NFC West. I see San Francisco and
Mhm.
Seattle. I see NFC North 2 teams, Vikings and Packers, depending. Um, I see 2 teams from the NFC South, New Orleans and Tampa. And then NFC East, Dallas, or obviously one of those has to make it in. I either the, I see Dallas making the playoffs. I think that they've gotten a lot better. I don't see Philly making the playoffs because I don't think Carson Wentz is going to stay healthy, and I don't see Jalen Hurts being that guy to take them to the playoffs. I think Philly had a lot of holes that weren't solved, and I think Dallas had a lot of holes, aka their special
Mhm.
teams. If their special teams plays, I think Dallas wins 2 or 3 of those games that
Yeah.
they lost because their offense was really good. So something's got to give. There's only 7 teams. Um, I think I think the Northwest and South all have 2 teams, and I think one team from the NFC East makes
Okay.
it. So I don't see a 3. I think that the NFC is too good to have 3 teams from one division make it because I think the NFC South is going to beat themselves up. I think the um, I think the NFC East is always beating
Mhm.
themselves up, but I don't think the NFC East. I think the NFC East is the worst division in the NFC, but they have the most potential to be the best. All they just need the Giants and Washington to get their head out of their asses and make it. Washington got the best draft pick this year and one of the best draft picks in years prior. I think Chase Young is just going to be
Mhm.
incredible. The Giants had a good draft. They got a lot of own linemen. Um, the Eagles, they didn't have any receivers before, and now they got like 10. So I think the Eagles' problems, I think, is I I can't put my finger on it. Like even when Carson Wentz is in, it just doesn't seem like anything's clicking
Mhm.
for him. Like I think he's a good quarterback. I just don't think that they give him receive. They give him like they have like a modge podge of receivers. He's not Tom Brady. You've got to give him a legit one. Like Deshaun Jackson is not a legit one. Alshon Jeffrey is not a legit one
Mm.
anymore. Um, Rager is not going to be a legit one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Justin Jefferson had the potential to be a legit one.
Yeah.
Um, I think T Higgins has legit to be a legit slot receiver.
That's what I don't get is
I think
in the draft, the Eagles had the chance to get T. Higgins. They took Rager over him. I just want to know
and
what they
like
know
O
that we
lineman.
don't know on that pick because I don't.
Well, T Higgins. So when I watched T Higgins play in the championship, they obviously won or
Mhm.
whatever, but like he always was coming off the field hurt.
Mm.
Like but mind you, that game was a
Yeah.
bloodbath, and they had just played a bloodbath before that, like the
Yeah.
week before.
Yeah, it wasn't the cleanest
But
national
you don't think the
championship.
NFL is
It was
do
definitely not the
what?
cleanest championship game.
Yeah, but you don't. But my thing is like, okay, he's got beat up, whatever. But you don't think that the NFL is going to beat you up
Mhm.
too? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they saw. They saw he wasn't that guy, and they saw Rager as this game changer. But to me, like you've got a really good D lineman. Fletcher Cox is
Mhm.
awesome. Um, you don't have your secondary the way it used to be. You lost Malcolm Jenkins. Yeah, I know he hasn't been playing that great, but he's your quarterback. Like when the Cowboys lost Barry Church, he wasn't great, but that defense suffered because he was the quarterback of that defense. Um, like I don't know, man. I just think that the Eagles they try to band-aid with corners and receivers, and they're missing the mark
Mhm.
somewhere. They always try to pick up these running backs that are like washed up, they got cut, and they don't do anything. And I don't know, Jalen Hurts, that was a head
Yeah.
scratcher. I
I
was very
didn't
confused.
understand that
Um,
at all.
yeah.
I mean, you've got literally $40 million in dead cap space if you don't if you stop pursuing with Carson Wentz and go with Jalen Hurts. I don't understand that either. That's more
Well,
confusing than the Jordan
I,
Love pick, man. At least Jordan Love made sense.
but Jalen Hurts is not a backup quarterback. I think he's the type of guy you've got to build a system
Mhm.
around him to make it work. I don't see him being the dude to fill in, like a Nick
Yeah, he's gonna
Foles.
be a
You know what I mean?
Lamar Jackson type quarterback. Where up in Baltimore, they
That's what I mean.
literally built that entire system around him. They get rid of Lamar Jackson, and they're gonna have to change their entire scheme.
Yeah, well, and that's why you take a quarterback that's like Lamar Jackson as your backup, and the Ravens drafting a Jalen Hurts would have made sense. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, he's just backing up Lamar Jackson. But the Eagles, like Carson Wentz, is like a cerebral. Like, not saying Jalen Hurts is not a cerebral guy, but Jalen Hurts is going to throw to his first option. He's not going to go through his progressions like Carson Wentz is. You know what I mean? So like he's going to be more like Lamar Jackson. They're gonna design a play and they're gonna throw to that player, and it's gonna be some RPO option type plays, that type of thing. And I like Jalen Hurts. I really like him a lot. Even like a Dallas offense, he makes more sense to back up Dak Prescott than he would to make sense to back up Carson Wentz, because Dallas runs that little read option play and that kind of
Hmm.
thing. And uh, I maybe Jalen Hurts is legit. We'll see. I like him. I thought he played well for Oklahoma, but
I like
um,
him, and I think I like him that he's got that winning mentality. He's got that killer instinct.
but
Think about it. He took two different universities to the college football playoff. Now, granted, he
he
didn't.
got he got benched in the championship in
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Alabama.
Now, granted, he didn't win it for either one of them, but he took two teams there. You got to give it. That's a
But
little bit of credit there.
well, he didn't take Oklahoma. Oklahoma lost in the first round of the
No, but
playoff.
what I was saying is he took him to the playoffs. He took him to the
Yeah,
college
yeah,
football.
yeah,
He took two different schools to the top four tournament, to the final four
yeah,
tournament,
yeah.
basically.
It'd be like, yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I just feel like there was other needs that could have been met,
Yeah.
and if they wanted to play like that, they could have went and like as a backup, they could have went and got Jameis Winston was still
Yep.
sitting there, who he's now on the
Cam's still
Saints.
out there.
Um, Cam is still sitting out there. Like there's so many players you could have gotten that would have filled that need. Even
Yep.
Andy Dalton came out. Like man, like
That's another thing I don't get
like
with Belichick. You've got two top tier quarterbacks sitting out there, and you're not going not top tier, but just below that top tier quarterback sitting out there. You literally have a guy that pass. Now, granted, he threw a lo- yeah,
30
he
for
threw a
30.
lot of passes to the other team as well throughout last year. But he threw for 5,000 yards.
Yeah.
I think that if your system and your winning attitude and your dedication to work and all that is as good as everybody makes it sound, which I don't disagree that it's not, why not take Jameis Winston? I bet you that work ethic, if you can get him to conform to it, will result in his interceptions going down and his play going up. So,
Yeah.
um,
I think I saw this tweet and I thought it was really dumb. Not a tweet or somebody posted on Facebook. They were like, "Yeah, the Saints took Jameis Winston, so on fourth downs instead of punting it, he can just throw it deep, and it's basically like a punt with a reward. It ain't like a punt. You don't catch it, it's an incomplete pass. You're right where you started.
yeah,
It's not a
I
punt.
saw something
Now if
that
he
showed
intercepts it, it's a
it was a comparison of Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston next to each
yeah,
other, and it said completions to Saints players, and
yeah.
Taysom Hill had
Jameis
7
has 10.
and Jameis had 10.
Yeah, yeah. I think Jameis. I think he has the potential to be one of the best in the
Mhm.
league. I just think that he's too like he just is gun hat like he just throws the ball sometimes without
Yeah,
thinking. Um, I mean he obviously he had an eye problem. He went and got LASIK surgery. Maybe that'll
yeah.
help him.
Yeah, he's gonna come back out there looking like Wild Thing with his glasses on, throwing lasers.
He don't need glasses. He got LASIK.
Well, Major League came out a long time ago. They didn't have LASIK at that time, so he came back with glasses. And the
Yeah, yeah.
2020 version is he gets a wild haircut, gets LASIK, doesn't wear glasses.
He needs to do the Rodman dude, put like
It needs
numbers
to do
on his
something,
head.
man, because 30 interceptions
That'll
isn't
make sure.
cutting it. But all right, man. But anyways, just to kind of wrap things up with the draft. Obviously, you're happy for your Cowboys. Uh, barf, but I'm not. So yeah, I'm in a weird spot. I'm not pissed about the Packers draft. Not happy about it though either. Um, just because if it doesn't focus on where we're at right now, and I think that we have a championship team if we can focus on just filling those few needs right now. But what
Hmm.
it but the part of me that's like I don't hate it is because I do know that Aaron Rodgers is 36 years old. He will eventually need somebody to come in and take over. So that's why I say I'm not
Mm.
pissed at it, but I'm not thrilled with it. But I know that you're very happy with your team's draft. I'm happy to see New England still not doing too hot right now just because I don't like New England. I don't know, though. I don't know if it's I don't like New England or if I don't like Tom Brady because I don't like Tom Brady. So I'm kind of not liking Tampa either. But I kind of am liking Tampa because Gronk's there. I like Gronk. So I don't know. But
Yeah.
to wrap this up, we've talked about who we think won in the draft, who lost in the draft. Have your Super Bowl picks changed with what you know now?
I still think Kansas City's got the AFC. The Bills, I think, have moved up a slot. Ravens and Bills are still
Mm-hmm.
there. So I still have the Chiefs winning it. And the NFC, I like San Francisco's picks. I like San Francisco in the NFC Championship. Um, hmm, who did I have? Who did I have in the?
You were saying last time a repeat from our very first
Yeah,
episode. You said repeat of last year.
I still like a repeat. But I really like. Oh man, I really like. I don't know. I like the Saints a lot still.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like that they went and got Emmanuel Sanders. Um, I think that's a perfect fit for that system. I think they only got better. I think they got a linebacker. I think they're going to be good. I think the Saints are going to give them a run for their money, but I think we're going to see the top players still playing. I still think it's going to be. I could see Seattle sliding in there. depending on how well Greg Olson does, he could be a good fit for the Seattle. But I don't think they did enough to boost their
Hmm.
defense. Um, I like San Francisco. Uh, I like New Orleans. I can see Tampa running in there. And then I like the Cowboys better than I did before
Hmm.
the draft. I like them in 2 years,
Gotcha.
um, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Green Bay, I really wish they would have added an offensive
Same.
piece.
I'm afraid we
I
took
think
a
they
step
would have
back.
been yeah, I could still see them doing well. The Vikings drafts the Vikings stock went up for me a little bit. Um, Chicago, not really. Um, they got Khalil Mack's brother, by the way, on the same team as Khalil
That's
Mack
pretty
is.
cool.
Um, yeah, and
He like
then
Tiger Woods and his daddy.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the top three teams say the same for me, man. In the AFC, so you got for me it's Kansas City, Baltimore, and then the Buffalo Bills, and then Dallas, or then on the other side it would be, uh, yeah, San Francisco, New Orleans. Man, that's tough. Green Bay probably or Dallas. Yeah, it kind of shakes out the same as last year,
Hmm.
man. I don't think the top teams got any
I agree.
worse.
I agree. Um, I,
But
I,
we'll see. That's why they play the
yeah,
game.
I think I'm gonna stick with mine as of right now. I'm gonna go Saints. Um, and then I think I'm gonna say Chiefs on the AFC side again. Just
That
the way I look at it is, um, I think the Saints, just because there's only so many times that I feel like the Saints can get so close and not make it, right? So I
yeah,
think that they're going to eventually burst the bubble that they get on every year in the playoffs, um, and I think that they're gonna make it. They haven't gotten any worse; they've only gotten better. Drew Brees is older. Anything happens to him, they've got the gunslinger now back there. Uh, Your defense got to be ready to
yeah,
get back on the field sometimes because he does throw a lot of picks, though. But I mean, I like New Orleans still. Um,
yeah. They've
I
got the best
I
receiver in the
really
league.
wanted to
So
come out of this draft and say Green Bay. We added another receiver. We added another offensive lineman. We did something to improve us right here, right now. And I wanted to change my pick and say Green Bay is going to win the Super Bowl. But dude, I think we can. I just don't think it's gonna happen, man. I don't think I think with the picks that Green Bay made, that shows you where the front office mindset is at. And unfortunately it's not right now. Which just doesn't
yeah,
make sense to me one bit. I mean,
I think I think
mm,
2021. I think I'm gonna still be saying Kansas City, and because Patty
yeah.
Mahomes is legit, and I'm gonna be saying Dallas. But right now, I'm not
No
saying Dallas
Dallas,
yet.
no Dallas. Dallas
We'll see,
I
but
don't I'm
I'm
curious to
excited.
see what happens in Dallas though, just due to the fact that you do have a new coach in place. Um I think
And that's why I'm giving them
yeah,
a year.
I think that the Cowboys will do better now that they've gotten Jason Garrett out of there. I think that he just likes to. I think he fostered too much of an atmosphere of mediocrity, and that led down to the
Yep.
players.
It's too
And
risk
I know
adverse.
that from being a Green Bay fan and having McCarthy in Green Bay, you're not gonna get that from him. You know what I mean? He
Yep.
if he doesn't like what you did, he will. He's gonna go out about it and let you know. But no, I'm gonna say my picks: New Orleans, and then Kansas City. I think Kansas City's still gonna win it all. I think they're too good, man. I mean, they added a new piece. They added Clyde Edwards, the running back from LSU. So not only do they have Patrick Mahomes now in the arm that he has, they now got a new, highly talented running back as well to add another dimension to their game. So,
Yep.
um, still don't care too much for their defense, but I mean they're making it work right now without it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But Mm-mm-mm.
Well, with that being said, there are a couple ways you can listen to this
Yep.
podcast. Um, Number one, obviously YouTube still. We're looking at adding video to our next couple of shows. Maybe not next one, but in the next month or so.
Once everything starts
Just
opening
add.
back up, this quarantine thing ends. Quarantine thing's making it a little bit more
Yeah,
difficult to add the video right now, just because.
there's so many. It's the upload slow, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. But we've got YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
Let me see what else we got. We got some
and
other ones too. Those are
a couple
the
others.
main ones. Google Podcasts. Um,
Google Podcasts, the Anchor
yep.
FM. So if you any way you want to listen to us, subscribe on that app or website, whatever you listen to. Subscribe, leave comments,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. Engage. We'll get on the Facebook engagement and talk to y'all after this podcast is released. And let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about. If you want us to shout out anything, let us know, and we'll try to include it in one of these episodes.
Thank you all for tuning in, and as always, much love. Later, guys.